So I'm very obliged to have been invited to this August gathering, and more to show that yes, we are celebrating, the nation is celebrating the 50 years of our independence from 1971 to 2021. So we of course with deep respect and gratitude remember all the sacrifices made by our freedom fighters, the war commanders, and of course the founding father of this nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. So where Mr. Sudipto Mukherjee has ended that yes, let's face the world. So while we are preparing ourselves to face the world now 2021 onwards until 2026 at least to delineate a charter or economic charter on how do we restructure our economic behavior and commercial behavior post 2026 while this nation or the country becomes a developing country or starts its journey as a developing country. So, and that is our kind of analysis. And we have got a very distinguished panel here today, Mr. Abdullahi Sarkar, who is one of the early bird entrepreneurs of our country, educated from Dhaka University's Commerce Faculty. Also, Mr. Mesbauddin, Chief Marketing Officer from the Fair Group, Fair Technology, and you would be knowing that yes, Fair Group is producing or assembling Samsung appliances in Bangladesh, very much near to Dhaka. And we also have one of the kind of a growth drivers of our country, export driver of our country, Mr. Abdullah Al Rakib, a prominent businessman in Bangladesh, and he is also the former director of BGMEA. And also, I came to know from him today that yes, he is also competing from again to form a more vibrant BGMEA in the coming BGMA election from Sammilito Porishad. All the best to Mr. Abdullah Al Rakib also. Ladies and gentlemen, in the year 2011, I had the privilege to run a project along with a leading university in the United States of America, 40 years of Bangladesh, and what made Bangladesh to stand at this stage in 2011 and what has attributed and contributed towards Bangladesh's growth along with that 40 years. And of course, during that research or project, while I was the lead consultant from Bangladesh, we did find out that of course the War of Liberation in 1971, some of the valiant freedom fighters, I can also see here today. So War of Liberation, what made us to think independently, behave independently, and also delineate our future in togetherness along with the freedom fighters, war commanders, and of course all the political leaders and the policy formulators of this country. Second was, incidentally, through that report, we found out the famine of 1974 and what made not only poor Bangladeshis from the rural Bangladesh to come down to Dhaka. Dhaka could not contain them. So they had to find their abode or workplace outside Bangladesh, in the Middle Eastern countries, some of the Far Eastern countries, and of course some of the European countries. The acronym of non-resident Bangladeshis, to be more precise, these are the blue-collar workers working outside Bangladesh, and think of these 8.6 million workers working predominantly in Middle East, Far East, as well as some of the European countries. What would have been the pressure on the national economy or the domestic economy had there been additional 8.6 million people added to the 170 million people residing in Bangladesh. Third was, very importantly, some of the freedom fighter bureaucrats who fought for in 1971 for this country in the War of Liberation, and afterward they went outside Bangladesh, especially to the North American countries, to have their higher education. After coming back, they played a significant role, pivotal role in delineating the future of Bangladesh. And number 4 was independent or quasi-independent media. Media did play a significant role. Through that study done with the US University, we have found out that yes, whoever is owning those media, but the media workers, the esteemed journalists, always played their role in favor of the common people of this country, in favor of in identifying significantly where is the so pinching, for the growth of Bangladesh. And fifth was, of course, the increasing number of women joining our workforce. So these were the 5 very fundamental findings that we have found out and identified through that research done in 2011. While we are now at 50 years of independence of Bangladesh, and more so talking today about what will happen to Bangladesh and how do we transition, how do we ensure a smooth transition towards a developing nation post 2026. As I have mentioned already, my esteemed panel, that Mr. Abdullah Sarkar, so he is the chairman of Dhaka Bank Limited. He is also the chairman of Education, Science, Technology and Cultural Development Trust. And as I have mentioned that as the founder of the Purbani Group, one of the pioneering textile group in Bangladesh, and who has also accepted that Mr. Sudipto Mukherjee was also focusing on the technology advancement and usage of technology like latest technology like data analytics, IoT, machine learning, deep learning, and all these things in ensuring smooth transition to a developing country and also to survive better in a more competitive country, in a more competitive world rather. So my question to Mr. Abdullah Sarkar would be that to share with us how is his organization, both bank as well as more importantly the textile group, is preparing to transition into a more competitive world and post 2026, that is the Bangladesh as a developing country. Mr. Abdullah Sarkar, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mamoon. And first of all, I am grateful to the organizer for inviting me to speak few words in this August gathering. And wish you a very good afternoon, Excellencies, and ladies and gentlemen. In fact, things are already, we are on track already. We are now progressing from the beginning. And as all of us know that we are going to be graduated by 2024. Of course, some grace period will be there. By the European Union also the World Trade Organization has allowed a little bit more. And then we have to start our program, developing program. We have to start the challenge from 2027 onwards. But before that, definitely, in the interim period, we have to prepare ourselves to encounter the challenging situation we are going to encounter. And to start with, I have to say that especially let me talk about garments. As far as the garment is concerned, that we have definitely much organized and developed and complied than those years. And already some preparation is already there, but still we have some weaknesses which we have to encounter to overcome when we become finally graduated. That is our infrastructure, our port handling capacity, then all the internal road networking, also cost of doing business in Bangladesh. At the same time, very constructive policy from the government will definitely help us to prepare ourselves fully to encounter the challenging situation we are going to heading towards. And we are already on the path of taking that challenge. And government also quite alert and quite equipped. I have to say that they are also preparing themselves to give us a right policy in the same circumstances. I am sure we will be able to encounter this situation. And one thing I like to mention here that the countries which are already graduated like Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, we have to compete with those people when we become fully graduated. And we have some traditional advantages, like our people not very much optimistic to our lifestyle changes, our people remain content with minimum requirements. They are not like people of Indochina and rest of the I thought our main challenge come from the East Asia, like Far East, like Vietnam. Then Cambodia are not very challenging for us, but definitely Thailand, Malaysia, all those. So I am sure that we will be able to successfully encounter this situation, which we have to encounter in the changed circumstances, of course. And As far as the garment is concerned, we have a very strong back process now, and still we have some weaknesses, and I am sure the span of time we have right now ahead, like from 2021 to 2024, we will have more development in our back process, also compliance with requirements, and I am sure fully prepared. I am not at all concerned about that. And this is right now, if we look at the list of the least developed countries in the world, who are those people? And we are enjoying the WTO preferential trade facilities, also GSP from European Union. From America, from nothing, we don't have any, we have no more quota in there. But if I make an example like, say 2004 to 2005, when the America withdrew the quota facility, every people became very concerned about that. Bangladesh export will be very down because of the quota withdrawal. But finally, those years, that same year, our export growth in the US market about 13% more than normal. So I'm not at all concerned. Because our people, we have the working hands here, and that hands are quite developed, and I'm sure we'll be able to successfully encounter the situation which we are going to face in the years ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdullahi Sarkar. Time permitting, we will again come back to you and to discuss some issues like compliance in the garment sector, GSP Plus, and few other issues that might have been identified as challenges towards our graduation process. Now I go back to Mr. Mesbauddin, Chief Marketing Officer, Fair Group and Fair Technology. So obviously, after talking so much about technology, and during the COVID time, we have seen how technology and the technology firms have been benefited out of managing this COVID type situation and the challenges. So how does he, and while we were starting out the issues with regard to the graduation process or the identifying the challenges towards our graduation process, and what Mr. Mukherjee has ended with, that some of the challenges beyond the known challenges of growth and parity and other, or discrimination or even cooperation, that yes, technology is going to play a significant role. And we have already seen that yes, how some of the women workers in the garments factories are reducing. In fact, we have done a study in Chittagong export processing zone, and we have seen how the she workers are reducing in that export processing zone. So now, because technology is coming into play its role, so now how do we survive in a more competitive world, more technology-driven world, and what is Bangladesh's preparation towards using and making best use of technology in the coming days, especially post-2026? Mr. Mesbauddin, please.
Thank you, Mohan sir. Thank you, the organizer. We are Fair Group. We actually manufacture Samsung electronics product, as well as we are going to manufacture the Hyundai car as well. So I would like to start with the challenges first. If you look into our exports, 85% is actually covered by the garments units, and we don't have any alternatives where we can look forward for the new export opportunities. And there we want to play a vital role about bringing in electronics and technology market in Bangladesh. Definitely we talk about LDC to developing countries. As I was discussing, that today we are competing with Vietnam, competing with Indonesia, competing with India. None of these have LDC preference. So we are not in a difficult situation to say that there is a competitor who is having an LDC advantage. So we will have equal shares in the market to compete. Now what we should do to improve ourselves in terms of our economy, in terms of our export. Definitely efficiency is one of the big part. Productivity is a big part. Cost reduction in global market is a big part. But the most important part is the HR. We have seen that we have got a good garments worker who are doing extremely good for making sure our economic wheeler are getting in process. But what we don't have is technology-driven workforces. And that's very important for us in the next journey in technology market. If you look into the global political scenario, China is having some difficulties in exporting products to US and other markets, where we can actually play the role to become the next source of production facility to give the products to the global market. So that is very, very important. So we need to put HR training or educational curriculum in focusing on technology, electronics kind of product, because if I talk about Vietnam, the majority is exports are coming from garments and electronics products. A big chunk of the exports is coming from only Samsung factory in Vietnam. So that's actually played a very important role for us. The next important things, how we actually in these new migration, how we can use the technology into development or productivity increase. To be proud to say that if you look into the mobile phone, which 3 years or 4 years back was mostly imported from global market like China and Vietnam, today we are having almost 85% smartphone being produced in Bangladesh. So that's a great things we have done in 3-4 years. How we develop these HR, they are actually developed through the process. So we have taken a little bit longer time. So that was the basic structure we have started. Now we have to go beyond it and go create a backward linkage where we produce batteries, we produce chipsets, we produce LCDs and all these kind of things. Looking at similar things into refrigerators and air conditions and televisions, where we can actually started producing all those technological products into Bangladesh. And for that, we need a good research team. We need a very strong HR portfolio where these workers can become an essentially better for us. This will also help for our HR or our labor forces to work abroad, where they can earn more money by having a strong understanding of technological, product manufacturing. So as I was saying that we have got almost 85% smartphone being produced in Bangladesh. Almost about 35% of Bangladeshis are now using smartphone. So these actually enable us to, get the convergence of internet with our workforces in every household. So I believe that with the growing smartphone penetration in the market, we will be able to have a productivity enhancement program through digitalization, and that will also help us. So I think lastly I would want to say is first, definitely garments is one of the major export area, but we need to find new opportunities through pharmacy products, medical products, as well as electronics and mobiles. We also have to develop our HR for a sustainable development for the next 10 years to 15 years time, so that after China, people should think about Bangladesh as a hub for manufacturing of technology and electronics products. And also we have, with the digitalization which is taking place, with a huge market, because we are 8th largest populated market globally, I think the domestic market will also play a vital role, and with the convergence of digitalization, we will be able to bring the productivity up, we'll be able to do the things better way, productivity, efficiency, drive that, and that's how we should do it. Thank you.
Mr. Mesbauddin, time permitting, of course, we'll try to again come back to you on the especially on the development of the human capital side for getting more prepared or a smooth transition to a developing country. Now, coming to Mr. Abdullah Hil Rakib, a garments owner, garments trader, apparel trader, and also a BGMA leader. So remembering, taking the clue from 2000, if I'm not mistaken, 2008, I was privy to a US State Department, especially US State Representative Office hearing on Bangladesh's possible quota-free, tax-free entry into the US market. So there I remember that yes, the US Deputy State Representative was in fact toning at us and asked our leader, the then President of the BGMEA, that yes, who are your competitors in marketing ready-made garments into Bangladesh, into United States of America? And we did talk about Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India, and of course Vietnam, Turkey, and few other countries. And then it was a she, and she very loudly told us, none of these countries are LDC. So Bangladesh is already competing with regard to exporting made in Bangladesh apparel into the market of United States of America. Bangladesh is already competing with all other countries who are not LDC. So that is why, based on our background research on the craftsmanship of the Bangladeshi workers, we declined to consider duty-free, quota-free access of Bangladesh, made in Bangladesh apparel into United States of American market. So my humble question to Mr. Abdullah Al-Rakib would be that yes, people are talking of post-LDC graduation, of course 2026, post-2026 journey. How is our apparel entrepreneurs are preparing for that? While we have Mr. Nesbauddin has talked about the quality of the workers, and we have at the very outset also talked about the quality of human capital in Bangladesh and how to drive growth, productivity improvement, competitive environment, and adaptation of technology, and also shipping in the era of more competition, while people from European Union especially are emphasizing more on, while we are talking of GSP Plus, and they are emphasizing as the largest importing country or importing bloc in the world, European Union. They are increasingly talking of compliance standards, the work standards, and the work ethics we follow with regard to the apparel production in Bangladesh, with regard to manufacturing sector in Bangladesh. So Mr. Abdullah Al-Rakib, if you could kindly focus on that, yes, well, people are increasingly talking of governance, compliance, and compliance to the work ethics, compliance to the working environment standards. How do we prepare ourselves to fight and compete in the post-2026 era? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mohammed. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Abdullah Al-Rakib, Managing Director, Team Group. Well, I believe, see, there are two scenarios. One is LDC, one is COVID. And of course, taking the entire industry into consideration, it was totally a people-driven initiative, and our resilient entrepreneurs could do whatever they have known. So with the change of the pattern upcoming business-wise, retail-wise, there are a lot of mind shift in terms of customers' behavior, in terms of the retail concept, in terms of financing. There are a lot of challenge coming in. So first of all, I would say that, talk about graduation and graduating in terms of all those parameters. I believe in terms of infrastructures, we have worked long away, and by having Accord Alliance Initiative, we have seen that most of the facilities been already addressed and considered as the safest working place. And on top of that, our Green Revolution has added some mark on it, and I'm sure that now we can say with pride that out of 10 platinum LEED UHGB certified factory, 7 is in Bangladesh. Of course, that's not enough. We have to be responsible for reduce, reuse, and recycle, like the way the pollutions and is going towards or in contrast to the SDG goals. But I would say that the industry as an industry whole, for us as an industrialist or us as a factory owner, we are trying to do the adaptation for coping up with Industry 4, say industrial revolution and the transformations. Right? We are talking about AI and IoT things into the floors. So, of course, those are the tools which, if we can achieve, that will help us to achieve the better efficiency. With the monitoring scheme, say in floors, previously we didn't have process. Now we are kind of planning to fix the process so that it's not just a person who declare who is doing good and who is doing bad. It's about recognizing and rewarding a worker who is doing better and understanding the multi-skilled operator's contribution and acknowledging his contribution through ERP so that it's not been biased. So there are a lot of happenings into the floors which is kind of like preparing us to face the next generation business strategies. I believe the industry as a whole, association as a whole, we understand the need and the gap, and we are also trying to negotiate with the government how the government can support us in terms of financing all those technologies which can give us better efficiency on the floor, and of course make our logistics and make our infrastructure much efficient and better. Of course, with the days coming with Matarbari Port get on live, we will have better lead time and we will have better efficiency. If the roads get better, Dhaka-Chittagong highway get better efficiency, we will have lead time enhancement. But then again, the logistics, then again, our product diversity make also like there are rooms to work on. And I believe the resilient workforce we have, if we can train them better, because at this point of time, the trainings are happening on a private level. When a worker coming to our door, we are training them with our own initiative. Of course, DGMA have 12 training centers, where we are now promising that we have to upgrade these training centers, and we also want to have industry academy partnership with all the schools where we can train those mid-level entry workers, entry staff who can actually come straight away and contribute from the day one. Because what we see, the gap is that a graduate from the universities are coming up, but there are less universities who are offering good courses to appropriate needs. We all know that we import a lot of expertise, like about $4 billion go for that. But if we read, if we understand the gap, if we can encourage infrastructure-wise, even if we can negotiate the dialogue between the government and all UGC versus all the universities, that they can enroll all those courses into universities which can give a proper graduate who can start contributing from the day one. And even within their course, they can come forward with an intern program between their education and come forward to work with the floor, which we can offer them internship, and they can come forward, and when they graduate, they know what they are doing. They know what are the gaps and what are where the jobs are locating, which been now filled by the expats. So we have to really work on, and I believe that is a challenge, but then again, that's an opportunity. Of course, for getting us graduated in terms of achieving and in terms of hitting all those parameters which will give us GSP plus, of course, there are conditions of workers, which I believe we are more or less there. But there are issues with trade diplomacies. I believe that in terms of having eligibility for GSP plus, we have to achieve 2 points. Number one is actually there because for European Union, I think we have to have the product-wise one of the top export product, which is we are. But there are we have to have this trade diplomacy between Brussels and Bangladesh, that the threshold have to be moved on, because right now that have to be within 12%, which is almost there. So if we want to grow export, if we talk about being, say, by next 5 years or possible years to hit 50 billion, we really need to work on the moving the threshold between 15%, which is kind of like not really almost hitting the margin. I believe by having our educational workforce in terms of I will also agree with Ms. Bhai that he mentioned about HR. There are a lot of things we should work on, like people-driven to process-driven schemes. We are too much people-driven right away in terms of RMG, even in terms of non-RMG. I see we have people who are dictating without recognizing the correct process. And even on the entrepreneurs, like when we started, we didn't know how the process should be, simplifying the process, optimizing the process, making on a lean initiative to improve the efficiency and the cost, because going forward, our challenge will be reducing cost. Going forward, living standard will grow, so we have to give them a better salary level. The expense will go up automatically. So how do we survive hitting the same price? Because customers won't be able to afford the better price, because the economy going forward, because of COVID or because of strategy getting online, there are a lot of challenges and a lot of smaller competition. Say a big retailer will face competition with a smaller online people whose operating expense is much less. So they will have to offer a better price. So we definitely have to work out how do we still live and let live. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, because we started little late, so the organizers have been very kind to grant us another 10 minutes time. So we would like to finish precisely within that next 10 minutes. And so I would request all my esteemed panelists to be very precise in answering the questions. This is kind of a speed session that we came to know after coming here. So at this point in time, remembering with deep gratitude and respect late Honorable Finance Minister Mr. Saifur Rahman, who had significant kind of contribution in delineating the economic pathways for this country, emerging trading nation Bangladesh, and who truly believed in the entrepreneurship of our Bangladesh private sector. So remembering him, and also we have heard our immediate past Finance Minister Mr. A.M.A. Mohit also that yes, let's face the world. Gradually Bangladesh should have a plan, sequential plan to face the world, to behave in a more open and competitive world. So while now we are talking of our economic behavior and restructuring and refashioning our economic behavior post 2026, my question to Mr. Abdullahi Sarkar again would be that yes, how is your plan and how do you think that Bangladesh can have a better position, more respectable position while trading in a more competitive world beyond 2026? Mr. Abdullahi Sarkar.
Mr. Mahmood. Actually, if you talk about the banking sector in private sector, if you talk about the banking, we have brought a lot of changes in the banking services to the business community as well as to the general people, and also everything is now digitalized, and also we are introducing online banking, and in order to be a facilitator to the overall development of the country, we are preparing ourselves. We are already doing our job as per the requirements, but nothing is end up with services or something like that. It has a limit, so we have to improve a lot to bring more innovation in banking sector, banking services to the nation, and in the post MEP or post financial status, both industry as well as the financial sector also preparing to cope up with this kind of situation. And we are not lagged behind, being one of the banks, private banks in Bangladesh. We are taking all our steps. But one thing I like to mention here is that the human resource development. Human resource development in Bangladesh, if we take up the people of upper tier people, I think it is already taking place. A lot of private universities come up with good faculties coming from states and other places, and they are imparting training, and we are creating definitely, in executive level, we are creating a lot of prospects to take care of our job in the highly competitive situation we have to encounter. But only we are lagged behind in that very much in manpower development, like skilled manpower development in the worker level in the lower level. So these areas we have big gap. Government also taking a lot of steps to improve our skilled manpower, but at the same time it requires also a lot of private initiative. If the private sector also come forward, then you can definitely strike out the best quality working people with technical knowledge and skilled workers. So this is one of the area. Everybody is now alert about it, and we should be going to be more alert in order to encounter the challenging situation we have to encounter ahead. On the other hand, the support also coming from the government is quite constructive, and a lot of steps government taking which are unexpected sometimes. Say for instance, they kept the factory open during the pandemic situation. It was a very good decision that we have really encashed the facilities of that kind of decision, because all factory running, no cases of not that much cases of a pandemic infection there, and hardly people like workers are affected with this infection. So it is a good decision, and thus we are also we are getting very stronger also in this kind of situation, and both many experts of global and local, they have been very pessimistic about when the pandemic started. They thought that Bangladesh was going to encounter a very crisis situation, economically as well as socially. But suddenly it didn't happen. That is false. So I am not at all pessimistic about the future, and I am always optimistic person, and I have all the positive attitude, and I am sure what kind of challenge come, we can take care. I am sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I've been cautioned by the organizer that we have got only 5 minutes more, and this is also a great figure. So I would request other two of my esteemed panelists to be very precise and focused. So my question to Mr. Mesbauddin, the World Bank in 2008, the famous skill report, the single most important factor towards Bangladesh becoming more competitive in the global marketplaces was identified to be skill. So how do you see our, how do we synergize our skill development efforts in this country, including technical skill?
Okay, thank you, sir. I think we, three of our panelists, we are only talking on HR, quite an emphasis. This is very, very important, because I was saying that we have to have an alternative category of product which we can explore for exports. We have to also create alternative markets for exports. So apart from definitely EU and America, we can think about ASEAN as a market. We can think about China as a market. We can think about Africa as a market. So we need to think about that. So now coming into how we can develop this HR for the next level. Definitely we have an education system, but this education system may not have a futuristic view on which education curriculum we should have in line with the development we will have in next 10 years' time. Whether we will go into agriculture more, we want to go into technology more, we want to go for electronics more, automobile, how we want to develop. So I think the education curriculum should fall with the future plan of the industrialization or agriculture or service industries. We probably have got a lot of MBAs which are roaming around, having difficulties in getting jobs. But when we go to find a technical person having a good diploma or an engineering background, we find it very difficult to get the right people. So I think we need to, whether the government or UGC or any other part which are into these discussions should plan that in next 10 years or 20 years where Bangladesh should grow and align that with the curriculum or create that kind of universities or colleges to bring more people which are needed for Bangladesh development. I think that's all I can say.
Thank you, Mr. Abdullah Rakib. We are finishing with him. Again, how do we ensure discipline, and improve productivity in our manufacturing belts. Mr. Abdullah Al-Rakib.
Talk about balancing the manufacturing and bringing it to discipline. I believe it's, again, I will add with Ms. Bhavai that it's about recognizing the process and rewarding the process driver. Because what we are doing is all people driven and a manager can make mistake. So we are not setting up the parameters that how do we understand the KPI for a person to improve, or then what is his next level. So everywhere in terms of manufacturing, it's not necessarily only garmenting or RMG, it's everywhere that it's kind of a manager person who decides who is good and who is bad. So industry as a whole need to address that, and we have to establish the process. And of course, like industry academia partnership can also reduce the gap. And all those expats we are paying can actually play a better role. We can, when we sign their permit, we can also have an undertaking from them that they will transfer this technology to the academia and also those juniors who are learning under them. So if we can enroll those process, we understand the gap, and of course the discipline will come with a proper reward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for lending your patient hearing to us. And I, along with my esteemed panelists, join to thank the organizer, especially CGS, for coming up with this very important subject. So how do we transition into a developing country, and identifying the challenges, and accordingly also trying to delineate a kind of a journey path for a smoother transition into a developing country. Thank you so much once again.